And welcome to the third in my series of Adobe Audition 3.0 tutorials on how to do radio production. And we're going to start today with basic multi-track editing. And one of the hardest lessons as an old tape editor like myself had to learn about the way non-destructive multi-track editing in Adobe Audition works. First of all, let's load up that voiceover that we recorded in the last few sessions. Insert audio, right-click, insert audio. And then find where you put it. Let's see, audio. See, I don't remember where I put it. Barley, B-O. There's our voiceover. Do you love craft beer as much as we do? Now here's the important lesson it took me a long time to learn. When you have a track in multi-track in Adobe Audition, let's say we want to make a goofy effect, which really wouldn't be appropriate for this, but for the purposes of demonstration. Brew Pub, Columbus' only spot for an award-winning microbrew and barbecue. Let's say we wanted to add an effect to that line. Well, we have to split it. So we put the cursor where we want to split it, and we right-click and hit split, or Control-K on the keyboard, which I use. And then we go to the end of that line. Q. Right there. Now it's slid on us. And we split it there. Split. Now you can take this and move it around, okay? But here's the thing that took me forever to learn, and the non-destructive part. You can take this sidewall of this clip and move it around. And see how it's the same as that? These are windows into the file, not the actual file. Okay, one other thing I want to touch on, there's 3 tools up here. And the only one I ever use is this tool, which I believe they call the hybrid tool. You also have the selection tool and the move, copy, clip tool. I find that the hybrid tool is the one to use. With the hybrid tool, to move these around, you use your right mouse button, you hold it down, and then you slide it around. That is very, very handy. You can overlap. House and Brew Columbus only. Like House and Brew Columbus. Featuring brew and barbecue. Featuring real. Okay, now let's say we want to take this and like a goofy radio imaging unit, we want to add a filtered effect of, on EQ, a low quality, like they do. Well, you have to turn on effects. There's a little button up here called effects. You turn it on. That opens up this line in multi-track. Then you go over here and you've got all kind of stuff to play with. You can use effects rack, and I'll get to that someday, but it's easier just to use the menus. So we want to put a filter on that, filter and EQ. Let's go to graphic equalizer. Most of us know what that is. And there's all kind of presets. Well, I want that effect that people like, so I'm going to start with lo-fi. And you can give yourself as many bands as you'd like, either 30, 20, or 10. I'm going to go to, say, 20. Now you can preview the effect. Slide that over. All right, the cursor's already there. So when we hit play, spot for an award-winning, we'll hear the preview. Spot for, well, that's not very lo-fi to me, not what I'm looking for. I'm going to take all the bass out of it. All the bass. I want to sound basically for it to sound like a telephone. Spot for an award-winning. Okay, but I want a little more on the high, the upper mid. Spot for an award-winning. Still too much bass. Spot for an award-winning. Spot for an award-winning. Spot for an award-winning. Okay, that's pretty good. And you're done with that. You can just hit X. Now when you hit play, you'll see the difference between the two. Smokehouse and Brew Pub. Columbus' only spot for an award-winning microbrew and barbecue. Featuring real pit-style barbecue. And so from the beginning. Do you love craft beer as much as we do? Then get to Barley's Smokehouse and Brew Pub. Columbus' only spot for an award-winning microbrew and barbecue. Featuring real pit-style barbecue and an award-winning selection of house-brewed real ales. And next time we'll get to adding music and effects. Thanks.